Listen to the clock beat as it ticks our town away.
Yeah, that's a little bit of Iron Butterfly doing in the time of our lives. And this is True Ghost Stories on Life Omni Radio, WLOR.net. You are at the right place at the right time if you want to hear some amazing ghost stories and paranormal experiences. So grab yourself a drink, tuck yourselves in, and get comfortable. But get ready to face your fears. We are True Ghost Stories, and we're calling out all ghosts. Come out. Come out. Come out of your homes. Come out from wherever you may roam. Hello, listeners and chatters, and thank you all for being here with us. We here at True Ghost Stories would like to add substance to our show. More questions, more answers, more stories and research. The only way the world is going to know the truth is if we find the truth, and we're not alone. Because there are far too many witnesses out there with stories to tell, and it's our job to share them. True Ghost Stories approach is open-minded. We care not only about the living, but for the spiritual world as well. And maybe through our journeys we could figure out why they're here and what they want from us. Or perhaps we can even help a soul cross over. We are True Ghost Stories, and we like to think outside the box. I'm Tom Ryan, and I'm your host of True Ghost Stories. Unfortunately, tonight I will not be joined by my co-host Adam Ginsberg, but we will have Adam back with us next Monday night. But tonight I'm going to be speaking to two people that are very interesting, and it's very interesting that their paths have crossed and they've come to us together because I think they both have individual stories to tell. And I'd like to say that our first guest, well, we're going to bring them on together, but there's a gentleman by the name of Lee Tasey. He's a writer. He's written a few books, The Gospel of Arnie, How to Lose Your Faith in Divinity School, and his newest book, Jenna's Flaw, is due out in October of 2015. And we're also bringing on Cheryl Elliot-Fletcher, who is a psychic, a medium, and a clairvoyant. And together, the two of them are going to enlighten me on what it is about the paranormal world that has drawn them into these professions, and try to convince me and bring me some proof of the other side, some that I could share with the viewers and hopefully bring some truth to light. Guys, welcome to the show.
Hi, Tom. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks for being on. Hi, Lee. Hi, Cheryl Ann. How are you?
We're doing really good. Yeah.
Good. Lee, I want to start with you a little bit. You're also a professor, which I didn't mention. And I find it very interesting. And what I find very interesting is that you teach religious studies.
Yes, that's correct.
So how does your profession tie into your writing? And tell us a little bit about your background. Like, fill us in a little bit, but I kind of want to get to the point with how does it also tie into your writing? I mean, you teach religious studies. and I know that you also write some fiction about the subject. And how does this tie into your life, the paranormal, and how you got involved in it?
Yes, the first question as far as my background goes, I went to school in San Diego and then in Boston, and I ended up in Nebraska where I started teaching at Doane College. That's D-O-A-N-E, Doane College. We are the oldest private liberal arts college in Nebraska. We have undergraduate degrees and graduate degrees, and I have been teaching at Doane for about 10 years, like I said, and I do religious studies there. So that's what I do. I teach, and I also write, and the thing about writing is that you write what you know, and since I've been around religion pretty much my whole life, since my mom told me about God when I was 7 years old, I tend to stick with religion. So some of my big themes are faith versus doubt and good versus evil. So each of my books is an attempt to kind of work out one of those big questions, faith versus doubt, good versus evil, and so on. And as far as how I got into the paranormal, well, for a long time I was an atheist, and it wasn't until I had an experience with disembodied intelligent evil that I was brought back to a belief in God. So I guess I'm here tonight with you, Tom and Cheryl, because I have had an experience of the other world that deeply branded me. And I spent 6 years writing this book, Jenna's Flaw, which is due out in October, and a lot of it is kind of unpacked there in that book. It took me 6 years to write. Well, how could I compress and simplify it? Basically, God and the devil are real, and there is a cosmic war going on, and I'm caught in the middle of this, and every day that I wake up, I have to choose who I'm going to live for. So that's me in a nutshell. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Wow. So, okay, so you're raised Catholic, is it?
I was raised a Protestant, and then I fell away. And then when I had an experience with personal intelligent evil of the disembodied kind, I converted to Catholicism.
Okay, so you were raised a Protestant, and then I know that you mentioned that you were an atheist for a while. Was that turn? Was there something about religion that turned you away? Was there an incident that turned you away that made you an atheist, or was it something, maybe growing pains? You're getting to be a teenager, you're sick of your parents. What exactly was it that drove you in that direction? We know what drove you back, and I'm going to follow up with that once you just elaborate a little bit on what made you an atheist.
Yeah, Tom, that's an excellent question, and I've thought a lot about that over the years. Basically, it was just good old-fashioned studying. I went away to college, took philosophy courses, heard about the traditional arguments against God's existence, and I thought, maybe there's not a God. And then, there was biblical criticism. I would take a class in the Bible, and I would see what the Bible critics had done to the Bible, and, it's not reliable. And so you had, philosophy and biblical studies, and then you had Darwinian evolution. We can explain life without God. We can explain morality without God, and so on. So it's like there just wasn't much of a need for God because we can explain things naturalistically. So yeah, all those things kind of assaulted my faith a little bit, and so I kind of wandered away and was kind of soul searching and kind of doing my own thing. So yeah, that's my answer in a nutshell for you.
Okay, so now let's come to the incident. Let's come to the revelation that you're telling us had convinced you that there was a heaven and a hell.
Yes. Wow. It all really started with the girl I had met, and about this time, the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose had come out. And I thought, I'm actually living this right now. The story about Emily and her boyfriend is kind of the same story that happened with me and this girl that I had been dating. And I can't even believe I'm talking about this now, but I believe 100% that the demonic was working through this girl. Not only had it taken her over, but it was trying to take me over as well.
She was possessed.
Yeah, it was. I believe that she was, but as far as me, I was getting there. But I still kind of had enough strength to kind of fight it off. Again, the book kind of goes into some of this as well, of course, in a more fictionalized form. because it is a novel, it is fiction. But yeah, there was a girl I had met that absolutely transformed my life forever. And yeah, I still can't believe this happened. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell for you.
So the book is basically based on a true event that happened to you, but of course fictionalized to make it into a longer story. Is that right?
Yes, that's great. That's a very good point of clarification. Every novel, I think, is somewhat autobiographical. There are some seeds of someone's personal story in a novel, but at the same time, the author's imagination kind of takes over and makes it into something more than those seeds of personal experience. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And so your experience with this girl now, I'm assuming, obviously, it ended where you two are no longer together. What's her current condition right now? Do you know?
Yeah, I do know, and it's not good. And I'll just leave it there.
Okay.
I do know, and all I can say is that it is not good. And yeah, I sometimes see this girl, and when I do, I get on the other side of the street.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I won't go near her.
Okay. Does she know that you wrote the book?
I don't think she might not have any recollection of me, because it might not have been her that was dealing with me. It might have been the evil entity inside of her.
How long ago was this?
It was probably about maybe 8 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't spoken to her in 8 years, but
have you seen her? Have you seen her recently?
I have seen her around town, and like I said, I will not go near her because all it's going to take is for her to give me that look, and she has a very alluring look, and I can't. When I see her, I can't look at her. It's that I have to look away.
I'm going to ask you one more. I'm going to ask you one more question about the relationship that you had, and when you said that you felt that it was poisoning you. Was there something physical or mental? And I don't mean obviously stress or I'm not talking about fights or arguments. I'm talking about what was it exactly? Can you describe to me what it was that you felt? Was this negative energy coming from her? Is there something that was so convincing? Was it a feeling? Did you get chills down your spine? Can you describe to me what exactly you experienced that made you feel that there was something amiss?
Yes, well, that's an awesome question, Tom. This is really making me go back and really think hard about this year and a half that I was with this girl. Yes, two things. Number one, when you would walk into her place, there was a very negative presence. And whatever this presence was, it hated God, it hated the holy angels, it hated human beings, and it wanted everything just dead, D-E-A-D. The second thing I can say is that I always felt like there was something trying to get inside of me. It was like something was kind of prying its way into my mind and my life, but it couldn't come in unless I let it. But I felt that there was some evil influence trying to get inside of me. That's the best way I can describe it. And of course, there's a whole lot more, but those two big things, the negative presence and the sense that there was something very evil wanting to get inside of you and take over your life and work through you to destroy other human beings.
So was it an overwhelming experience where it wasn't really possible to spend time with this person? I mean, it sounds pretty like an uncomfortable experience to me.
Yes, that's another great question. The final straw was when I was in her room one night, and something happened. There was an apparition, and it reminded me of something that St. Thomas Aquinas said in a very little-known book he wrote called On Evil. And he said that demons are disembodied, but they can take air and vapor, and they can compress it. And when they compress air and vapor, they make a body. And I'll wager everything that there was an apparition of a demonic kind in her room that night. And I saw this demon compress the air and the vapor in her room, and it formed this very deformed, half human, half beast body, and Malachi Martin talks about this in his book Hostage to the Devil. Malachi talks about when demons do this, and I'm reading this book by Malachi. I'm like, that's what I saw. That's what happened, and it terrified me so much that that's when I bolted. I was done.
Did she see this? Was there a discussion, or did you just basically? Was she sleeping? Was this during the night, during the day?
Oh, it was during the night, and she was sitting at some kind of table, doing some kind of like arts or crafts, and I was in the chair, and I think we were talking about like God and like good and evil, and I was just kind of arguing with her, just to kind of argue. I might have been taking a position that I no longer believe in, just to kind of argue with her. I was just kind of giving her a bunch of crap, and she seemed to be kind of up against the ropes, like I was kind of like defeating her on certain things, certain arguments. And I don't know if this demon thought that I was having a positive influence on her by doing this, but it kind of appeared to me and basically told me to get the hell away from her and don't talk about this stuff, because I possibly could end up having a good influence on her, and the demon didn't want this. And so it made itself known to me, and that's what scared me off, which is what the demon wanted, because it wants her all to itself.
Yeah, I mean that sounds pretty.
Wild, I know.
Yeah. Are you saying the demon communicated with you, or was it something that you sensed, or?
Yeah. It basically, it constructed this body out of the elements that were in her room, and it was coming at me, and its eyes were kind of communicating with me.
So there was no speech or anything.
No speech. Okay. Absolutely not.
Okay.
It was more of a vibe. It was more like it's like it was some kind of like telepathy going on, or like I just kind of knew that it was kind of coming at me, and it was trying to scare me because of the positive influence I might have had on this girl. It was kind of like protecting its territory, I guess. Like, she's mine. Get away from her. Don't talk about that. Scram kind of thing. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now, do you feel that you're susceptible to these types of experiences often, or is this only a few experiences that you've gone through?
Oh, wow. This is I'm really enjoying this interview, Tom. Basically, prior to meeting this girl, I don't think I was very open to the demonic realm. But once I started dating her and I was around her more, and I was just around kind of her negative vibe, that's when the demonic can kind of make its inroads. But once I separated from her, it seemed to have less power over me. So in other words, the closer I got to this girl and the more intimate we were getting, and the more kind of, diabolical things she was sharing with me, and the more kind of open I was, that's when the demonic kind of moves in, because they know, hey, you're kind of in on this too,
Right.
Yeah, but once I got the heck out of there, it kind of had a half-life. It's like the negative influences kind of had less of an impact on me because I was no longer around her.
Sure.
To be around that negative influence. So it kind of had a half, but then it just kind of wore off, and now things are like back to normal, and I just never, ever want to go back to that again. It was absolutely frightening.
That's very interesting, especially because we've heard that type of experience before, where there was a negative energy that was less effective when it wasn't, when the person wasn't around or spent time with it. And very, very interesting stuff there, Lee. I want to bring in Cheryl Ann, because I know that you guys met through, I believe, college. Is that correct? Through your teaching, is that right, Lee?
Yes. Cheryl Ann and I had some classes together at Doane College.
Oh, okay. All right. So do you attend the class, or do you teach the class?
Oh, I was teaching these classes, and Cheryl Ann was taking them, and we got into a lot of really good discussions. Yeah.
Well, I found some very interesting stuff about Cheryl Ann as well. I know that she's you've got a website, and she's got a website as well. Just to mention to our viewers very quickly, you're listening to True Ghost Stories. We have Lee Tasey and Cheryl Ann Fletcher on. And Lee Tasey is Lee Tasey, LeeTasey.com. And you'll find his books and bio and everything you need to know. We'll drop that on our Facebook page as well a little bit later. And we also have on with us right now Cheryl Ann. And Cheryl Ann is a medium, a psychic, and a clairvoyant. And she's got a website called Extraordinary Connections with Cheryl Ann, and Ann is spelled ANN.com. Hi, Cheryl Ann. How are you?
Hey, you know what? I'm doing really great. I'm listening to Lee speak like that. It's just quite the incredible story. So kudos to him, definitely.
Yeah, very interesting stuff that he's getting. We're going to get into more of that. But what I want to start to do now is make the connection between you and Lee. Before we get into that, Cheryl Ann, try to explain how your life in relation to the paranormal began, experiences, and let's build up to where you first met Lee, and let us know a little bit. Yeah, go ahead.
Absolutely. Okay, my first experience in life was at the age of 11. I had a death experience. My first vision, being able to see, basically see death, was the death of my own brother at the age of 11. My death experience happened in the summer of 1971.
I don't want to interrupt you, Cheryl Ann. I don't mean to interrupt you. How did your brother pass?
He committed suicide.
At the age of 11 years old. I'm sorry to hear that.
At my age, at 11 years old, but he was at the age of 18 when he committed suicide.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Go ahead.
It wasn't until like about December that I had a vision, which I thought I was dreaming, that I could see my brother Pat in a coffin. And the following night, my mom and I were taking my brother to work, and I had explained to my mom about this vision dream, and she's, of course, at the age of 11, she was more likely to say, well, go back to bed, it was just a nightmare, it's not going to happen. Well, in fact, it did. January 23rd, 1971, at 1:23 in the morning, the police showed up at our house and announced to my family that my brother Pat had committed suicide. So therefore, what I had seen the night before did in fact come true.
So you had a vision of him committing suicide in the same manner that he had done it?
No, I had seen a vision of him being in a casket, dead.
Okay.
And then the following night, on the way to work, of course, he did commit suicide that night.
Okay.
To bring you up to speed, then, of course, I didn't start doing any readings. Didn't start being able to talk to other people regarding the afterlife with people who had passed in their life until long about 2000, May of 2000. We had bought an acreage, and my ex-husband used to be in theatrical in Grand Island. They would have outdoor plays. So he brought a whole group of people over one night, and I just happened to sit down and basically do gallery reads on people. And doing that not only validated that I did have a true gift, but it began my career basically in doing reads over the phone and visiting with people and whatnot. During the course of, from that time up until 2011 in June, I decided to go on a ghost hunt, and I wanted to see what I could pick up, and how much I could pick up with the afterlife. And I went to the Farrar School in Farrar, Iowa. It is a haunted school, on a VIP ticket to see the American Ghost Hunters. And while there, I met J.D. Campbell, who is the co-founder and owner of Paranormal Seekers of Iowa. And we had quite an experience there. I was able to talk to a little girl named Jamie in front of a group of about 20 people in one room. All the meters were going off. It was completely filmed. And the experience that J.D. had alone, when he was very skeptic of me. He thought psychics were absolutely nuts. Mm-hmm. But he followed me around that night, and he had an encounter with Jamie himself coming out of the kitchen. I had told him that Jamie was following him, and I could see her clearly. She was wearing a little red nightgown, and she was carrying this little teddy bear, and she was standing right behind him, and I said, JD, you know, she just really wants to give you a hug. And JD bent down on one knee, and he said the entire right side of his body became so cold that it was almost like he was numb on his right side. And he felt the presence of this little girl named Jamie. So I joined the team of Paranormal Seekers of Iowa, which I live in Lincoln, Nebraska, so I do a lot of events up in Iowa.
Right.
And during the course of that time, we've been on many investigations. We've got footage where we did an event in Edinburgh, Iowa, and JD was filming at the time, and I was down the hallway, and I walk in to the room, and JD points the camera at me and says, Cheryl, who's in here? And I said, the gentleman's name, and of course it's right on the same audio footage. So then I'm going to go ahead and push through here, and I'm going to go ahead and bring us up to when I wanted to go to school.
Okay, now wait a second. Right before we get to that, I want to just jump back really quickly, because you said that you have on film your interaction with Jamie, right?
Yes.
And where can we find that? Is that something that you guys have shared or posted, or and what do we see on the footage? Is it do we see? I'm sorry.
Let me back up the truck. Let me back that up. Okay, we have film footage of me talking to 4 children in the kitchen at Terrar.
Okay.
We do not have film footage of JD talking to Jamie. We have 20 witnesses that actually watched that happen. Yes. Okay.
What did the witnesses see?
The witnesses were able to watch JD become completely emotional. He was so cold, and, the meters were going off, and it was...
Let's dive into that a little bit, Cheryl, because that interests me a lot. When now, what would you say that if JV is communicating with the dead, would you call that in the state that he is in? Is it more of a possessive state? Is it more of because I like to get into these details when you say that he gets into an emotional state. Does it become almost a pseudo possession? What is it when they communicate? What takes place, and then and is this person, is JV someone that's got a gift, or is it simply this is how the paranormal will communicate when they choose to, through who they choose to?
That's exactly right. I believe JD was, and it's JD. I believe he was.
I apologize.
That's fine. I believe at the time he was chose to be the one she was going to communicate with, because not only is he a dad, he's got little girls, he's got children that are little girls, and I believe, without a doubt, that they selected him. I have a son. So when she came through to talk to JD, it was because she was a female, and he has females in his family, his children. And as far as that feeling of the communication, to me, when they come through and talk, they absolutely, they don't possess you, but they give you the energy that they're creating, and they give that energy to you. So that's that connection. And you start to physically feel what they're feeling, the energy. And I believe that JD was completely engulfed in her energy, because he started to feel extremely cold. He was kind of shaky. He became very emotional. And JD doesn't normally get like that in front of everybody. He is so, strong. He represents strength.
Right.
I've never seen him get scared. I've never seen him, up until that point, I had never seen him get anywhere near being scared at that ghost hunt that night at all. Nor does he represent any type of emotion. He's very, strong in what he believes.
Yeah. Well, that's the most compelling evidence, I always feel, and I mean, that's, when we've discussed ghost stories before, you always believe, the experiences of those that have no reason to lie about it. And so sometimes when you're there and you see someone experiencing something that is outside of their normal behavior, it's a little bit more compelling, and the evidence is more convincing.
Exactly.
And you guys have that on film as well?
What we have on film is where I am talking to the 4 children.
Oh, okay. So right, you don't have JB on film, right? You said you had, but do have witnesses to that. Well, I hope you guys can get something like that on film soon, because I think that's probably something that can be very convincing.
Well, not only that, on our Facebook page, we have a TV show called Reality in Paranormal.
Okay.
We have a lot of footage where you will see that I'm interacting with spirits.
Okay. Well, be sure to share those links on our page as well, please, either during our show tonight or after the show. Share them on there, because that's what we want to do. We want to bring the evidence to our fans and our listeners. So now, I'm sorry, Cheryl, you were going to lead into how you actually met Lee, and in the classroom you started to take some classes. So let's get to that. Let me know how that meeting took place and what developed.
Well, what actually happened was I was, in getting ready to go back to school, and I was having some issues as to which college to go to. But my niece Melanie happened to be going to Doane, and she said, "Oh, Aunt Cheryl, you need to go to Doane." And I said, okay. So I made an appointment with my advisor, Angie, and I sat down, and my thoughts at the time were I wanted to go into paralegal study. Being 23 years of legal through real estate, I thought, wow, it just makes sense. Well, I'm sitting there looking at the scheduling, and Angie happens to say to me, are you sure this is what you want to do? And I said, really, I don't. I said, I'd really rather go into demonology and ministry. And she said, oh, I have classes for you then. She says, we have a professor here by the name of Lee Tasey who teaches religion and whatnot, and, of course, that would help with, moving in the direction that you want to go to. And I said, oh, okay. So as I'm looking at the schedule list of different classes I could take, it all of a sudden hit me. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. It wasn't until the night, my first class with Lee, he walked into the room, and the minute he walked into the room with my gift that I have, I knew right away. And in fact, the little girl that was sitting next to me, my son's girlfriend, Tessa, I smacked her in the arm and I said, I knew exactly why I'm here now. And she looked at me and she goes, why? I said, oh, he's got a story to tell. And she just started laughing because she knew I was reading my teacher. And that is how we began this journey. So
you knew nothing about his writing before that, is that correct?
Not a thing.
Nope. Describe the experience when he walked in. Was it an energy that you read? Was it an aura? Was it a gut feeling?
Oh, no. Clearly describing what went through me. When he walked in the door, I literally pushed back into my chair, and I thought, oh, my God. I could see the dark energy that something had attached to him, and he was carrying. And what I mean by that clearly is that I could see the darkness around him, that he had been exposed to something that was not earthly. And I just literally, he would walk by me a couple of times, and I'm like, I couldn't even focus on what he was talking about that night. In fact, I had to ask him later about the syllabus. He was going over it and trying to tell us about the class. I couldn't even do it. And the energy that I felt was extreme negative. I could tell he had something negative attached to him. And it wasn't right away that night that I approached him after class about it, I believe it was a couple of days later, we started talking about the afterlife, and I believe at that time is when I approached him and told him what I did.
So you felt that there was a negative energy attached to him. Was this something that was something that you felt needed to be addressed, or do you and now, Lee, I want to ask you to jump back in here. And when you guys discussed this, did she tell you about this negative energy, and were you alarmed by it, or was it something that you and Cheryl Ann, please help elaborate as well. Is this something that is because of an experience he had that this is going to be with him, or is this something that was with him that needed to be addressed, that he needed to, change something in his lifestyle or his his approach to whatever practices he was doing? Elaborate a little bit on that, Lee and Cheryl Ann. Come up.
Yeah, I'll go first, Cheryl Ann. Prior to having met Cheryl, I was already dealing with this problem on my own. I had, really got back into the Christian faith and studying that more and learning more about the angelic and the demonic worlds and my place within it. So I was already addressing this problem, and that's when the half-life kind of began to emerge. They had less and less of an influence on me, these demonic spirits. And so when I met
Lee,
Cheryl Ann...
Was that a carryover, Lee, from the atheist period and from the experience that you'd had with the ex? Is that what that was, or was it just something new that?
Oh yeah, when I had my demonic experience with my ex, that's when I kind of went through a big soul searching period, and I kind of got back into the life of the Christian church, and that's when the negative energy and the demonic spirits kind of began to loosen their grip on me when I got back into my life of faith.
Okay.
And that's about the time when I met Cheryl Ann, and she began to, help me understand these things better. But prior to having met Cheryl Ann, I was already dealing with this on my own through getting back into the Christian church, specifically the Roman Catholic Church.
So now how did
That's
you feel?
The short answer.
Now, how did you feel? You're sitting there in class, and she approaches you and says, "Hey, I sense that you've got this dark energy around you or whatever dragging you down." Was it shocking, or did you automatically somehow kind of relate to what she was possibly sensing?
At first I was a little bit skeptical of Cheryl Ann, but I think as we began to take this class together, and we began to talk a little bit after class, I kind of began to sense that she was that she had a very special gift, and that she was very familiar with the world that I had emerged out of, namely the demonic world, and she had a thing or two to teach me, and so I was very open to learning from Cheryl Ann. And even though I was her instructor technically at Doane College, she was also my instructor in the world of the paranormal.
Yeah, that's
her
very
having a lot more knowledge than me, of course, about this topic, this area of study.
And so now, what has the meeting of the minds here resulted in? Have you been able to uncover things about yourself, or has Cheryl Ann been able to uncover things, that may have been unattainable, or at some point, have you guys helped each other out in some way, and what's the relationship led to?
Yeah, go ahead, Cheryl Ann.
Well, let me just address all that. What he was talking about, too, emerging out, is definitely true. Well, I got to tell you, I have been able to help Lee understand what's happened to his life, with, the ex, and why it happened. And, what our relationship has been completely about is helping him to understand not only what happened, but why it happened. And he has brought back in this teaching and studying, he's opened a lot for me too. So what he's done by teaching me is to be able to not only get up and do symposiums for these classes to talk about what I've been through, and helps other people to understand as well what demonic possession is about, what it's like to talk to the afterlife, and we have, I believe our relationship has really opened not only his eyes, but mine too. And I believe that Jesus brought us together for this sole purpose, is to help one another out in this journey to make sure that the truth gets out there in this book.
So, Cheryl, let me ask you a question, because I want to visit the religious end of this a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it's part of God's plan to have people tormented by demons the way that we are, or the way that apparently some people are, and the way that they experience it beyond, the normal experience of the everyday Joe that, may never have any experience with the paranormal world? Why is it that some people might have more of a burden to bear when it comes to experiencing the other side?
Well, when you talk at me like that, what I come back with is the fact that the more I deal with people, it's because their religion or their Christ is lukewarm,
mm-hmm.
or they have doubt, or they're just not really, they talk it and they don't, walk it, I guess. So
mm-hmm.
that, to me, every person that I've met that has had an experience that was not of a good thing is because they've had issues where they don't believe in Christ, where they're just there's just not enough physical evidence, and plus we have free will, like Lee talks about. This is a very good question to Lee too. Lee explains free will better than I've ever heard it. And I think because we have free will to do whatever we want, I believe hands down that's where Satan moves in and says, oh, hey, we got this guy walking around over there and he's just doing whatever he wants. Well, maybe I ought to hit his soul because he's weak.
Well, I'm actually very interested in that aspect of it as well from Lee's perspective, because what it sounds like Lee has mostly, and Lee, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like most of your experiences with the paranormal have been pretty negative. We've had guests on where, they have orbs and they have, they're talking to children or whatever, but it's all kind of harmless stuff. What do you think is the explanation for your experiences with what appear to be, and now, I mean, of course, we've already explained that you've had the experience with the ex who, for some reason, may have had other reasons why she was involved with these evil spirits, but do you ever see the other side of that as well? Do you ever experience, like, hey, there's also a bright side to this paranormal thing?
Yes, that's a really awesome question, Tom. Basically, when I decided to date this girl, I knew that it was wrong. Looking back on it now, in retrospect, I realized that the good angels were doing all they could to warn me about this girl. And because I misused my freedom and I went ahead and started dating this girl, that's when things started to go haywire. That's when, the evil presence came onto the scene. That's when, these evil beings were like trying to get inside of me. So at first I think the angels were warning me, but then when I told them, to shove it, basically, this is when the floodgates of evil opened, and I was just deluged. I was flooded by them. And I've only experienced the angelic and the demonic realm. I haven't experienced, ghosts like Cheryl Ann has. I've never, have had, dead kids appear to me asking to help them over the other side. I would probably be much more skeptical of that end of things rather than the demonic realm. But because I've experienced the demonic realm, I can go ahead and think, well, there probably are, lost souls in this world who haven't crossed over. So I can go ahead and believe in, a lot of what Cheryl Ann has experienced, namely the ghosts, even though I haven't experienced one, if that makes sense.
Right. And now, because of your experience with the demonic realm, are you taking any steps to protect yourself that might be more, religiously or I guess just influenced by some, superstition?
Yeah, the great Protestant theologian Karl Barth said that human beings should take one look at the demonic world and then turn away from it forever. And I think that I have definitely had my glimpse of the demonic world, and I have forever turned away from it. So how I've gotten away from it is I basically, I've started, to read the scriptures more. I've started to pray a bit more. I usually make it to Mass on Sunday, though sometimes I don't. I got a busy life, and, I got a busy teaching schedule, and I'm writing. I don't always make it, but my heart is there.
Right.
So basically...
You're actively involved in religion again.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am actively involved. I still have a lot of questions. I don't know everything about God or, God's church. I still have a lot of questions. I wrestle with things, but I think I've gotten more clarity from this experience that I had about 8 years ago. It really kind of set the record straight, but I still do have, some questions about things.
Right. And Cheryl Ann, what is your perspective on the afterlife and the paranormal? Do you think that there's an end game to our relationship with the other side? Is there something that we're supposed to be learning? Is it a fluke of nature that we could communicate with the afterlife? Is there an explanation that you have, or is it basically, are you just taking it upon faith and do your questions end there?
That is one of the questions I had hoped and I literally prayed that you would ask about. My ex and I, Mark Fletcher, we had a huge conversation on the way to Omaha one night. And Mark brought up the fact. He said, Cheryl, what if you've already been here? And what if, people repeat coming back every time until they become more Christ-like? And I said, wow, that really makes a lot of sense to me, because when I talk to the afterlife and I get their stories out and it's all filmed or it's on EVP, they usually say, for one, they don't indicate. I never ask, are you, you're dead. But they give me the indication that they are somewhere out there, and when, I ask them if they want to cross over, which I do. I do cleansing, and I do help them out. A lot of the time, the response is, am I coming back? Do I get to see, they want to be with their family? Mm-hmm. And it just makes so much sense to me that we continually repeat our life until we become completely Christ-like, and then we move on. We move on to heaven.
Right.
And that is my take.
That's a very interesting take, I got to tell you. We've definitely visited a bunch of different angles on that perspective of the afterlife. And that's an interesting one. So we're basically just trying to find retribution, salvation, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very interesting, Cheryl Ann, and very interesting, Lee. You guys have brought some great stuff to the table. Now, Lee, do me a favor and fill in the audience as to where they can find your book that's coming out in October, how they can get it. Give me the websites. I know you also have Twitter. I'm gonna share this stuff. I've already found all of it. I'm gonna share it on the True Ghost Stories page on Facebook for all of our listeners to check out. But in the meantime, for everybody that's too lazy to go there and check it out, Lee, why don't you run off how we can find your stuff?
Yes, you could just Google my name, Lee Tasey, Tasey, T like Tom, Tasey, and my books will come up on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and also have a new link for Janice Flaw on my website, but Barnes & Noble and Amazon will have it too. So just Google my name and you'll see my books. But Janice Flaw will be out in October. and that kind of summarizes everything I know about fiction writing. It summarizes everything I know about God and the devil and the cosmic war that I really believe that human beings are involved in, and it's everything I know in my 41 years of existence. So hopefully the next book I'll have more to say.
Sounds excellent. I'm gonna check that out for sure. I want to check that out, and it's been great having you on the show, Lee. I definitely want to have you on again for sure. And everybody, check out Leon. He's also on Facebook and on Twitter as well. Like I said, I'm going to drop all those links on our True Ghost Stories page. And Cheryl Ann, how about you? Are you currently doing readings? Do you want people to reach out to you if they need a reading done?
Absolutely, and I do want to touch on that question that you just asked, Lee, as well. When his book does come out, we are going to publicize that all over Facebook and Twitter and whatnot as well.
Okay.
There will definitely be links provided there as well.
Okay.
For me, I can be found on Facebook, Cheryl and Elliot-Fletcher. I can also be found on Reality in Paranormal, which is our TV show based out of Lincoln, Nebraska, Time Warner Cable. I can also be tweeted at Psychic 1960.
At Psychic 1960, you said?
Psychic,
okay.
Yes. At Psychic 1960. And then they can also email me at Cheryl at extraordinaryconnectionswithCherylAnn.com.
extraordinaryconnectionswithCherylAnn.com. Yeah,
Yes,
and
sir.
you've got that, and that's also your website as well.
Yes.
But it's been great talking to you guys, and I really hope that we can have you come back on the show again sometime in the near future. After the book drops, Lee, we could talk a little bit more, and Cheryl Ann, I'd love to have you guys on again and just get a little bit more in depth about some of the experiences that you guys have had. And, of course, if anything ever happens that you feel is definitive proof of the afterlife, we always love to share that kind of stuff with our audience, because that's what we're doing here at True Ghost Stories. We're bringing the proof in the pudding.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for having us on your show.
It's been great.
Thanks, Tom, for having us. It was great, and I enjoyed your questions. And if I ever become an interviewer, I'll have to model my questions off of yours because they were that good. So thanks for that.
Oh, man, I appreciate that, Lee. Listen, you guys were awesome guests, and I really appreciate you guys coming on. And I hope you listen to us in the future. And like I said, you're going to be coming back on, so I will be in touch.
All right, I'll look forward to it. Thank you.
All right, guys, take care. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow. So that was some very, very interesting dialogue with Lee Tasey and Cheryl Ann Fletcher. And I was very appreciative for having them come on the show tonight. I thought it was very interesting that we had the demonic touch on Lee's experiences, because I think if you've listened to our shows before, you've heard that most of our guests have had positive experiences, and the negative ones that they've had, they've kind of strayed from. But Lee has kind of embraced what's happened and studied it. And I love that, because then he's delivered that perspective to us. And just interesting. The most interesting thing that I've always found about the paranormal world is that you don't know whose perspective to really invest in. So many people have had different experiences with the paranormal, some good, some bad, some horrifying, some enlightening, and it's kind of you don't know what you're going to get when you're talking to someone that feels that they've touched or communicated with the other side. And of course, our primary objective here is to bring you guys proof, and so video, audio, and when we tell you the stories, you decide whether or not you believe our guests. But as far as these two, I think they did a great job of bringing to us what they felt their personal experiences were, and what convinced them. And on that note, I'd like to bring in my great friend and Just had a birthday, and she's our engineer, and she's the mastermind behind True Ghost Stories. Sherry, Emily, I just want you to come on, Sherry, and talk to me for a few minutes about how you like the show and the guests, who I thought were awesome, and give me your feedback a little bit.
Well, I think the stories were amazing, especially Lee's. What he went through with that girl, and it totally changed him from being an atheist to someone that believes in God. That's pretty amazing.
Right, because he was a believer.
Yes.
That fell out of fell out of the flock, and then had an experience enough to shock him back in, which is very interesting.
I do have a question concerning one thing, though.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing some research on doing some Bible study lately, a lot of Bible study lately.
Okay.
And I've come to learn by a great book that I've been reading that it is not mentioned anywhere in the Bible that any man has ever ascended to heaven. It is not mentioned in there. I guess we're not supposed to go to heaven until after the second coming. And once that, we're not even, actually, heaven is supposed to come to earth. It's supposed to come to us. We're actually on heaven, pretty much. And if you think about the Lord's Prayer and you really decipher it, what does it say? Do you remember what it says? Our
I
Father,
guess,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Right, yeah.
So when I hear some of these people talk about, when we die, we go to heaven or this or that, I can't see that. I see someone either here, wandering, in a different dimension, or dead, waiting on the second coming. I don't see anybody in heaven at this time. So when I hear that, it's like a contradiction of what my beliefs are. So
how about...
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, and I'm almost thinking from that same perspective that yes, earth is heaven, and life is supposed to be heaven, and that's your chance at heaven, is your life, and perhaps that's the message: is live a good life, because that will be heaven for you. Because after that, it's all over.
Well, I don't think it's all over. That
I hope not.
That I don't think. And the reason why is because I believe that, in my own opinion, earth is your heaven or your hell. It could be either one. Okay? Because there's a lot of people out there that go through a lot of hell, and a lot of bad things happen. But I also believe that Satan has an influence on that. That it's him that brings a lot of this turmoil and sickness and unwell-being and all this other stuff. And a lot of the people allow it, because we don't know any better. You know what I mean? We're born into this world with no knowledge, and we are taught by our peers, by our ancestors, and whatnot. And many people out there, and the only reason why I'm on this subject is because the subject of the Bible was tonight. And I've been doing a lot of research, is that I believe that it's gonna happen again, that everything that the Bible says is exactly how it's supposed to happen. If people would just sit down and read their Bible and do some studies and have someone help them explain some of the things that they can't understand, instead of preaching it in a way that they think it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? Because and that's one of the reasons why I have issues with churches. I go and I visit a church, I'm out of there, see ya, I'm not coming back here. Or the next one, see ya, I'm not coming back here. So I believe that we have it within ourselves to find the truth. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree.
That is how I
find
feel.
the truth, yes, and self-reflection, and I think that there is a way to get there without even belonging to a church. I think you could find it within yourself, and like you said, do a little research, do some reading, and see what it is you believe.
That's right. And
what influences your life.
Right. And the same thing with spirits. I believe that there are angels here among us. I believe that, when we die, especially the people that don't even know they're dead are still here. I believe that we don't go anywhere. We're right here until heaven comes to us. when the second coming comes. That's just how I feel personally. Because it is nowhere written in the Bible that any man goes to heaven or even ascends to heaven. The only one that did was Jesus. Even the saints aren't even in heaven yet.
Yeah.
So, but that's my own opinion. So now you got my opinion for tonight.
I got it.
But it was a great show. You did awesome. You asked really great questions.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
You really did.
Hey, listen, you got me wanting to read the Bible again.
Aw. Well, that's good. I'm glad.
All right, so listen, we're running over into some, playback stuff, so maybe I should read the closing of the show.
Yes, sir. And again tonight, Thomas, you did a great job, and the guests were wonderful, honestly. And thank you for everybody for tuning in.
No, they were great.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Go.
But Sherry, I have to ask you a question.
Yes. Yes.
Do you ever feel like you're not alone? Do you ever feel like someone or something is near you? Have you felt touched? Something has brushed up against you? Do you hear voices? Do you have vivid dreams of dead loved ones? Do you see shadow people? An angel or two just reaching out? We believe someone or something is reaching out. We want to tell the world the truth. Our experiences are not a figment of our imagination. There are things that walk the earth that are unknown to us, and we want to find out what they are. We want to share it with all of you. So do they. We want to tell you our stories and their stories, because we are true ghost stories. Tune in next time. We have a great guest in store for you. Listen to the horrifically talented duo of myself, Tom Ryan, and my co-host, Adam Ginsberg, for a frightfully entertaining hour of the best true ghost stories I've heard. Until then, have a great week. And a great night. Happy ghost hunting.
Wake up with a coin in hand and hear the ravens scream. Hear the shadows of the night. You can run, you can hide. Hear the shadows of the night. You can live, you can live your life. Somewhere in another place, so many miles apart, he runs away from what's to come and cries out with his heart, following that highway, not sure of where to go, looking up ahead of him. He sees the joining road. He doesn't see the stop sign there. No time to turn away. The ravens perched up on that wreck, yelling, I warn you of this day. In the shadows of the night, you can run, you can hide. In the shadows of the night, there's no time, no time you can buy. No. And bleeding just to stay alive. Dealing and stealing, cheating and dealing, no place to lie. Begging and bleeding, barely just breathing. The end of the road is near. The end of the road is near. Tell me, what do you fear? Oh.
It's Ronnie Barr in Shadows of the Night. You're listening to True Ghost Stories, WLOR.net. See you next Monday. Good night.